Hello and welcome back to the GorillaBiker, and today we're doing a video on 6 years on YouTube, which is kind of crazy to think about when you're me, and I am me, so I thought about it. I was going to do like a quick rundown of you know, where I see the channel going or whatever, but I had a quick glance through the questions that people submitted. Thank you very much everyone who did, so I'm just going to launch right into them because I think a lot of those questions will probably cover off what I was going to cover anyway. So first I'm going to cover Patron questions, then YouTube, and then Instagram. And I think most of them are on Instagram. So the first question is from my good friend Barry, or Hatter JBK as you might know him from videos that I've done in West Virginia especially. And he says, what cool trip meetup locations are you aiming to announce? And then let Rafe work out the details for you this year. So I suppose we'll go through that one first. Hatter has actually already organised a cool trip later near Chattanooga in Tennessee, so looking forward to that one. Other than that, I don't actually have any trips planned right now. I have some formulations of trips, but there's actually a friend of mine who's also moving to the US soon, so when he gets here we'll get him set up with a bike and you know, see what's possible, see what we can do, and see what he wants to do, because depending on the bike he gets, we'll see how far we go. But definitely back to the mountains. I also want to set up the Z, which is over there, for doing like shorter trips, and I want to go down to like Myrtle Beach and stuff on that bike, you know, kind of shorter kind of weekend trips, whether it's alone or with people. That would be cool. And Rafa didn't work out the details, all right? He just booked the accommodation and forgot to book himself a bed several times. Any motorcycle gear, this is all still from Barry, any motorcycle gear you're excited for being released in 2025 or was released too late in 2024 for you to make a video about? Not really. Motorcycle gear doesn't often kind of excite me. There's a couple of bikes that I'm looking forward to, especially the V4 from CF Moto. Really looking forward to see how that actually shapes up. But like motorcycle gear wise, I think I have most of what I need. From a gear perspective, I'd obviously really like to get some climb gear at some point, but it's very expensive. And otherwise, like just the general stuff that excites me, like whether I get to do a quick shifter and stuff like that. You know, I'm kind of simple in that way. But no crazy gear. You know, someday I'd like to buy a Chewie because I've tried them on. They're very comfortable, but they're also very expensive. Anything else? I don't think so. Like moto gear, I don't think so. Bikes, always. There's always bikes on the horizon that I'm excited about, and several that I'm going to make gear on, that I'm going to make videos on, hopefully. Gear is kind of like when I get something, it's if I find it good, then I make a video on it, because I think that's something that I need to tell people about. Or I think it's only happened once. If it's just really bad and I don't think it's a valuable spend of money, then I don't go for that. Like the most fancy gear wise I'd put on my bike was the dash cam, which has been great, the Van True dash cam, and that wasn't even my idea. They reached out to me and it's still running great. The V-Strom is right behind you. Yeah. Has Toaster picked which colour of Rebel or whatever she's wanting to ride she likes yet? Yes. There's one or two colours. I think Toaster tends to go towards the darker colours. I know I'm wearing black right now, but I actually prefer like neon bright colours. She tends to go for the darker ones. So probably just the black Rebel, since they don't come in many colours. And there is one or two other bikes she's interested in. I showed her a Triumph 400, one of those new 400s that actually Shade Tree, weirdly enough, at the very same time released a video on. But possibly interested in one of those too. So something that's kind of lighter, easier to manage. I don't think the colour makes as much of a difference. What's the max speed of an Aerostitch laden Swallow European? 30 kilometers an hour, I'm going to say. Aerostitch make good stuff, you know. Aerostitch is a suit I'd like to try out at some point. That'd be cool too. Maybe one day. And do you attend charity motorcycle events? And he did clarify that later, or just motorcycle events. Just occurred to me, I don't think I've ever seen but one video where you did. Curious if you don't like them. The events being charitable, I know you're fine with. It's not that I don't like them. I'm just not a big group ride person. I find that like my time to do fun stuff on bikes is limited, tends to be to weekends and, you know, days I can take off from work. And I personally prefer riding with like smaller groups, you know, 5, 6 being kind of like a really good kind of window of people. I do go to motorcycle stuff when I can. I'd love to go to more motorcycle shows, like expos and stuff, but it just hasn't played out that way. Moving country is difficult and it's expensive. If I was still in Ireland, I would have probably gone to EICMA by now, at least once. But again, it's kind of like, it's one of those things, it's difficult to make a video on those too, because you're in a room full of people. And I don't really like talking when there's people I don't know near me on camera. So, you know, that's tends to be why I haven't covered the ones I went to as well. Except, you know, if I think it's something that I'd like to get the word out on. That's not to say if a charity event came up near me that I was interested in, I would do a video to try to get the word out on it, if that makes sense. So thank you for your questions, Barry, as always. The next question is from J-Ride on Patreon. From the day you decided to start a YouTube channel, has your goals changed for the channel then versus now? Any specific things you're going to be focusing on for the future? When I started a YouTube channel, it was actually 2019. You know, there was no COVID or anything like that. It was just, I was starting it for fun. And also I was really bad. I felt like I was bad at speaking to people, getting myself out there. That was a big driver. And also I really wanted to do videos for tall riders, because when I was looking for them, I didn't see them. So all of that did come to pass. You know, I got better at speaking to people. I've made a lot of friends all over the world, thanks to this channel. I've done reviews for tall riders, and honestly, starting off, I was like, you know, if I ever make 1,000 subscribers, that would be amazing. I always want to set realistic goals, you know. So I never in a million years thought I would get to 1,000 or 10,000 subscribers. So that wasn't actually ever really a goal, and then it happened. And honestly, I haven't ever said anything from that, you know. Then versus now, I still like making, you know, I still want to make maintenance videos. I still want to help people maintain their bikes themselves, because I think that's really important. You know, I think it's maybe how we get more younger people in is show them that, you know, there is a cheap-ish way to do this, much cheaper than otherwise. Bikes are way easier to work on than cars. They require less tools. They require less space. You know, as we all know, the world is getting smaller in a way, so people have less space to themselves. So I do think that that's something that's still really, I'm really passionate about, you know, showing people that anyone can work on most of this stuff. I am nothing special, you know. If I can do it, you can do it. So that was a goal then. It is very much a goal now. You know, if I was insane, I'd probably say, oh, I'd love to make YouTube more of a profession. I don't think it's ever going to be like a full-time job, but I would really like, you know, seeing what Brandon Picasso and whatnot has accomplished. And, you know, Brandon is, I would consider him a friend. We've talked lots. You know, he got invited to some of those demo days and stuff. That would be really cool to get to try out those bikes. I'd probably immediately get myself banned from them, because I'm a very honest person, and I'm not a huge fan of a lot of corporate stuff. So, you know, if I was told to say something, I wouldn't. So maybe that's why they haven't invited me. I've often spoken my mind on a lot of different bikes. And any specific things you're going to be focusing on for the future? Yes, a couple of things. Obviously, number one, get the Valkyrie running. That's why these are here. I did discover this diode is probably bad, which is part of the neutral circuit and all that. And I'm actually working on that bike in the background, because I don't want to make videos on it until I actually have it figured out, if that makes sense. There's no point in me making a video and being like, well, none of that was it. So, you know, when I figure all the electrical issues out, which I'm really hoping isn't all of them, if a battery was connected in reverse or something, because the more I look, the more worried I get. But that's definitely something. Obviously this year, I'd really like to do some racing. I did get my ASRA novice provisional thing. I'm not fast. I don't plan on being fast. I just want to go out and have fun. You know, racing has been, I've always wanted to race something my whole life, you know, whether it be 4 wheels or 2 wheels. I love racing. I've always liked racing games. I've always liked watching racing. It's up there, you know, goals wise. So I'd really like to at least do one. And if I absolutely hate it, I absolutely hate it. You know, I still love doing my track days. So that's something I'd go with. And another thing then is getting back to bike reviews, because I still haven't found a way to get bikes over here. But what I might start doing is save up and like do, you know, rent a bike for the day or something, and then, you know, that make my review videos that way. Or, you know, maybe if I can figure out how to lend bikes off people, making sure I'm still fully covered on insurance just in case something goes wrong. You know, all that stuff has to be worked out. But that's, yeah, I think goals wise, do more tall rider reviews, do more maintenance stuff, you know, help people along that way. I know there's a lot of interest in maintenance stuff on the Z, so I plan on doing that. And I don't know, I would like to get back to a point that when I release a video and the YouTube metrics give you the green or the red or the gray, that I'm more in the green, and, you know, I can feel better about those videos. The last couple of videos have done really well, so let's see. Done really well in the green zone. You know, they've all been in the green, and it's a weird thing that actually does affect you when you go in and look. You used to see that, and I preferred it, but you know, now I'm at a place that when you go onto the YouTube app or whatever else, it immediately gives you greens, grays or reds. Red being bad, grey being like meh, and green being, hey, this is actually performing better than average over the last couple of months, whatever else. So yeah, I would like to improve the overall performance of the videos if I could. Next question from Flinch, and thank you, J-Ride, for your question. Next question from Flinch, another good friend of mine. Met up with him last year. Hopefully we'll get to meet up again at least once this year and ride bikes. And Flinch says, analytics. I've been watching videos about how to grow a channel, but I'm not interested in buying views. Me neither. I found strictly by accident the people that share your videos online because of their perceived controversy gathers views and subscribers, but how can one do it organically? What videos gained you views and subscribers? So the controversy thing is actually weird because it's something I have always actively avoided. I've sometimes accidentally touched upon a topic that is like a hot button thing for people. Way back when I started, I realized I had titled a video in a way that people thought I was like announcing a new release of a bike. And I couldn't understand why I was getting so much hate on there until I realized, oh, I can see how that title could be misleading. So I changed it and that video died. And I was okay with that because I mean, like, it was maybe first 20 videos, first 30 videos, it was very early on. Maybe slightly past that. I don't know. I think I've over 600 videos now. I'm not even sure. But I completely understand where you're coming from with the controversy, whether it be intentional or accidental, as was my case. I know people who have bought views because I've asked them, I'm like, how the hell did you do that? And, you know, it comes out that they've bought views. Not something I'm ever interested in because I don't think it's not going to last, number one, and I think it's just, it's fake, you know, and I never wanted to go that route, so I've never done that, which maybe has affected me because, you know, I've done a lot of different videos over the years, and, you know, obviously people click because they want to watch a certain type of content, and then obviously if you don't do that for 6 months, they might get disinterested and unsubscribe or just never click on another video because they're like, he's not doing the thing I want him to do. It is what it is. But I do think that's how I've grown the channel organically, is just by doing the stuff I'm doing. If people are interested, great. If they're not, great. It is what it is. And, you know, what videos have gained me most views and subscribers? I can actually answer that live by going to my analytics. I already know roughly what it is. Let's see, can I actually do this here? Top videos. Lifetime. So my lifetime top videos, number one is the history of the Honda Magna. I don't know why that did so well. It was the first ever like talking to a camera video I'd done and I was terrified. But it worked out well. That's the top one. That got me a lot of subscribers. Probably helped that I have a Magna as well back in Ireland. Second top video was the Kawasaki Z900RS first ride review. And what you're going to see is as I make this way down the list, you're going to see that first ride reviews and stuff are really the big driver. The next video is Suzuki SV650 review, Honda Super Magna review, BMW S1000XR review, CBF 1000 first ride, Honda CBF 600F spark plugs and oil change, first ride, first ride, first ride. So honestly, what has driven a lot of growth to the channel is the first rides. Whether that's because I'm a tall rider and cover it kind of slightly from that aspect, I don't know, but definitely first ride reviews on bikes have done really well. And I don't know, is that, you know, that's not a driver for me getting back to them. It's just that I really like riding bikes. Maybe that's why they did well, because I just really like bikes and I don't know, maybe that comes across. I honestly have no idea. I have personally not done research into what does and does not grow a channel. I literally just make videos I'm interested in making, and some of them do really well and some of them do really badly, and a lot of them do kind of fine. And I think that maybe is why I have made a lot of friends out of it, because, you know, people who stick around and watch a lot of videos are people who, you know, just are interested in what I'm doing. And I think that's, I mean, I like that. I think that's cool. But if you're trying to grow like organically and get a lot of clicks, first ride reviews are a big one on motorcycles, especially if you can get your hands on new stuff. I've always done kind of used stuff, thanks to mainly Freeman Motorcycles in Clonmel. Big thumbs up to those guys. I will love them forever. And also, you know, Franklin Motorcycles in Dublin gave me my first opportunity riding bikes. Really do appreciate that forever as well. But like, I'd still be really good friends with a lot of the guys in Freeman's. I think they're great people. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking to grow the channel, review bikes, do it from your own angle. Don't copy other people as much as you can. Obviously, there's going to be some overlap with comfort and whatnot, because you can't avoid that. It is what it is. But covered from your own spin. And in general, maintenance stuff does really well, but it does really well over time. Like, my Gixxer videos still get lots of views from rebuilding that. My general maintenance stuff gets lots of views, but not straight away. Like, that's something that you get trickles of interest in over time. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. And thank you again for the question. Now let's go to YouTube. I think I only got one, because I don't know, does anyone look at the community tab, but Gravy Davy Rides did see the community tab. Thank you, sir, and left me a question. He says, I'm a relatively new subscriber, so I'd like to know a little bit more about you, how you got into bikes, how you got into YouTube, cover that one, and what's been your favorite bike so far. A little bit about me. How'd I get into bikes? Honestly, I've just always liked anything that goes fast. Growing up, I used to watch Formula 1 on the telly when it was still free to air. Saw MotoGP and thought that was the most amazing thing ever. Obviously, being in Ireland, the Isle of Man is not very far away, so got exposed to that, heard about that, the road races in Ireland. All of that. I don't know why I love the bike so much. I don't know, is it because when I first got my hands on one, it's like the cost per chunk of performance is so much more attainable for a regular person on a bike than it is if you're going for a car. I would still love to do cars at some point, but they're just too expensive, and they're getting more expensive. You know, bringing a car to a track is much more expensive than bringing a bike to a track. For instance, you crash a car, in my case, my life would be over on track. You know, honestly, I'd be like, well, that's me for the next 10 years, where if you crash a bike, I can fix them. I've crashed a bike on track and I've fixed it and brought it back to the track. So that, to answer your question, I've always been into like fast stuff. Bikes obviously are eye-catching, so are sports cars and hypercars and all that. Formula 1 cars, I can't honestly remember. Definitely though, getting me onto a bike on the road, my uncle plays a huge part in that. He's the one who enabled it. He's the one who taught me how to ride. Will appreciate him forever for that. Thanks, Dermot. So that was, you know, a large part of what got me into bikes on the road. How'd I get into YouTube? Cover that one, like I said. Just wanted to do it, you know, and to shout out people, you know, back in the day when I was interested in doing it, I'd been watching Do It With Dan for years, Shade Tree Surgeon for years, back when Chase on Two Wheels used to do his dual vlogs with Yummy R6. Who else have I watched for a long time? Teapot One, watched Teapot One for a long time now. I don't even know how long, but a long time. I'm trying to think, because I know I'm forgetting people. Baker X Derek, big fan of Baker X Derek. I don't know, does that come across, but like, and Suburban Delinquent, because I like doing the food videos. I like doing the random rambling vlog videos like Baker X Derek. All of that has definitely had an influence, and that's partially what got me into it. It's what gave me the idea that, hey, you know, I could do that. It's something that I would like to do. Maybe it'll get me out of the house more. It'll get me interacting with people more. It'll get me interacting with people on bikes more. So that was definitely a big part of it. What's been your favorite bike so far? My Magna. I would bring that over here in a heartbeat if I could. But it's definitely like a top. It's weird because the Magna is my favorite. It's such a cool bike and I love it. But like my favorite daily bike so far has been the one behind the camera, the V-Strom 1000, just because it does everything, and it does everything really well. The Gixxer, been my favorite, you know, kind of sports bike so far on track. But then, you know, that kind of comes in a weird tie with the Z900RS because I absolutely adore that thing. So I like bikes too much, basically. But yeah, those four, and I mean, that's why, you know, the first ride reviews worked for me so well, because I got to ride a Z900RS and then realized I wanted one. And as soon as I could have gotten one, I did buy one. And yeah, that's, I don't know, does that answer your question, but it's basically most of the bikes. CBF 1000, you know, honorable mention, it was a great bike, but I do think the V-Strom does everything it does better, except being like more sports tourer-y. I really like the CB750, my Phaser FZ6, that was a magnificent bike, but it's just, you know, the Z900RS would pip that one for what it is. So yeah, I don't know if I answered your questions properly, but I've tried, so hopefully. Next, we're on to the Instagram questions. We'll go all the way back. So the first one is from my buddy Walter, or Volts, that's VVOLTZ, if you want to give him a follow. And he says, what are some of the most positive comments that you have received that you still remember? Pretty much all of them are related to maintenance videos, where, you know, someone has commented like, oh, I was looking for, you know, for instance, the clutch on the Gixxer. I remember someone who is based in Brazil commented that they couldn't have gotten their bike fixed because they couldn't afford a mechanic, and they watched my video through and they got their bike back on the road, and thank you so much. And they stayed commenting on videos for like the next 3 months, just being like, hey, it's me, I'm still riding my bike, thank you so much. And that's really, really cool when you get that. You know, I've had comments from people who were or still are really ill, and, you know, they've said that listening to me ride around or whatever has been really nice, I suppose. And that's a different type of comment, still very positive, makes you feel weird. There is a downside to all that as well, because sometimes, you know, you'll get messages from family members just reiterating said thanks and letting you know that, you know, maybe someone has passed away, which is never easy to hear, especially when you've been talking to that person for like a year or two. And that's definitely one of the tougher things of YouTube. That sucks. That really sucks. But positive, I mean, it's all positive comments. Most of the comments I get are positive, like over 90% are very positive. And I mean, that's what keeps me doing it. You know, I've always said if I ever stop getting comments, that would probably be when I stop doing YouTube, because, you know, I do think I do YouTube more for the community aspect of it than anything else now. So yeah, good question. Thanks, Volt, even though you nearly made me cry. So Hail Snobbig, I won't reveal who that is, but very close to me as well. When will you get a sidecar? Probably never. Not that I wouldn't. If I could afford a Ural and I had space for a Ural, I would 100% get a Ural. But as it is, I'm kind of full up in here, and there's so many bikes I want to get that do not lend themselves to a sidecar. And I do think that, you know, one of the things I love about bikes is leaning in corners and whatnot. So yeah, I would definitely get a sidecar one day if the opportunity presented itself. I'll put it that way. You know, maybe if I can buy an old Ural and fix it up or something, I think a sidecar would be cool to try. Chunky Mitts, hello Aiden. I haven't read these Instagram ones, well, most of them. Why are you so handsome, and when will you be coming home? The handsome bit, I don't know, if that's how you view me, probably genetics, but I will have to disagree with you. When am I coming home? I don't know. Even for a visit, I don't know right now. Flights are expensive, but I would like to come home for a visit this year at some point, and maybe involve bikes. Plus I got to see your fancy house, you big wealthy landowner, yeah. This next question from Iani. I am sorry if I butchered that. What made you start the GorillaBiker channel? I think I've covered that fully. Thank you for the question. Apologies if you feel like I've left something out, but honestly, like I said, it was just a kind of a spur of the moment thing, inspired by many other people, greater people who came before me, and I just wanted to try it myself. Next question from Father Bobber. Life is very different for you than it was 6 years ago. Tell your past self what you would and would not change. I would probably tell my past self to buy less bikes. It's something I tell myself all the time now, to, you know, focus on just a few less bikes, if that makes sense. I would also warn my past self definitely of, you know, as good as moving country has been, it is not easy. Visas suck. Being tied to one company is very difficult. Even if you like where you work, it's weird. It's a very strange feeling, and that is something I would definitely talk to myself about and make sure that I knew how that was going to feel more than I think I did. But yeah, definitely also just focus on less bikes. If I wasn't so attached to all the bikes that I have right now, I would definitely clear one or two off the deck. Just because it's so much easier taking care of less bikes. You know, I always think, oh, well, one more isn't that much worse, but it's a lot of work, and I would definitely sit myself down and have a very serious conversation about that. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I don't, what you would not change. I don't think the thing is about, it's a weird thing, and I don't mean to be too philosophical, but like, even bad decisions can have good outcomes, if that makes sense. Like, if I hadn't made some of the really stupid mistakes I've made over my life, I would not be me. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. Like I said, I don't want to be too philosophical about it. But yeah, for sure that's yeah, I wouldn't ever go in and be like, oh, you delete this whole paragraph of your life because it was difficult, or, you know, you made life hard on yourself, because I think that, you know, that all leads into who you are. That's too philosophical, but it is what it is. I mean, it's the truth. You know, if you don't do stupid stuff, you don't learn anything. And I am a firm believer in having to fail to learn stuff. It's why I keep telling people when they ask, like, oh, how did you learn to work on bikes? Buy an old crappy one and try to fix it. You're gonna break stuff, but once you're able to fix it, you'll be fine. Next question from Owen Makmahuna. You like jazz? Question mark. Yes, I like most types of music, to be honest. I have a very varied musical taste, and I think if anyone ever sees my you know, my Spotify stuff, they'd be like, "What is wrong with this man?" But yeah, I do like jazz. I like most music, to be honest. There's nothing that country. I'm not a big fan of country. Not a big fan of country, but most other music, yes. Dean Ellis of Motomax suspension fame. How can you continue to be sexy for so long? I bet you didn't think I'd read that one out, did you? But I did, and I'm not. So we'll move on from that one. Terror Kid Kevin, who I made friends with through Father Bobber, only virtually right now. Hopefully, I'll get to meet him this year too. Why no Harley Davidson? Easy answer: no money. More complicated answer, because I could do the whole YouTube thing of just like selling a bike that I'm perfectly happy with in order to buy a new bike and hopefully drive more views to the channel, etc., 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 that I feel like a lot of people do. But the thing is, if I was to get a Harley Davidson, which is how he wrote it, I'm not saying that, but if I was to do that, I would have to sell the V-Strom, realistically, because like a Harley, a kind of a more, like a bagger style Harley, which is probably what I'd go for, it would be a daily bike. And the thing is, I don't want to get rid of the V-Strom. I really like the V-Strom. It does everything I want it to do really well. It's very comfortable. It doesn't have much mileage on it yet. It's only just about 30,000 miles. So it has a lot of life left. And it's just not something I want to do. I don't want to sell that bike just for the sake of buying another one because, you know, it might get more views, etc. and all that. It's just not a driver for me. So that's really why is no money to buy one. No space to put it in, and I would have to get rid of a bike that I don't want to get rid of in order to get one, if that makes sense. Maybe when the Valkyrie is finished, and maybe if I sell the Valkyrie, then maybe I would replace the Valkyrie with like a project old electric glide or something. That would be something I would do for sure. Next question from my good buddy Mr. Hippo Drone 247. Go give him a follow on YouTube and Instagram. What was your worst experience so far on YouTube? Absolutely bombing on a video that I put lots of effort into, and this has happened way more than once. But yeah, definitely when you think you're like, oh, this is a really good video and I'm actually really happy with it for once, which also is rare, and then you put it out there and it just tanks. You don't get any comments. You're really not getting any views, and you don't know why. It's just the land of YouTube. It hurts for a little bit and you move on. But that's definitely, I think, the worst experience is when you're like, this is a really good video. I hope lots of people see it. I think it would make people happy, because that's a big part of YouTube for me as well, is hopefully putting a smile on someone's face. As cringy as that sounds, it's true. When I watch YouTube and a video makes me happy, to me that's like thumbs up. A crew I just shared today, All Win Auto, they're doing really cool stuff and they're a group of friends, and that's really cool to me. I'd love some friends to work on bikes with. I don't have any here, but when a video absolutely tanks and you don't know why, that's bad. And obviously I don't want to, give voice to them, but starting off, I don't really care anymore, but starting off when you get like just a really nasty message from someone, telling you to not be alive anymore and stuff, that the first time that happens, I think was like, what is wrong with people? But in general, a video absolutely tanking and you have no idea why. Next question, also from Mr. Hippodromes. Thank you for all the questions, Pete. Appreciate it. What bike that you've owned is your favorite, and what bike that you have reviewed but not owned? That's a good question. So I've already answered the owned. That I've reviewed but not owned, probably my uncle's S1000XR. That bike is magic. Like it's everything. I think it epitomizes the sports touring, because that thing is so fast. I've seen him launch that around the track in Mondello so many times, and you can still just put panniers on it and go tour Europe. You know what I mean? It's such a good bike. It's such a good bike. I think they look great, both generations. I think it rides great, both generations. I was lucky enough that he had both and let me ride both for videos. Again, appreciate you, Dermot. It would probably be the S1000XR. It would have been the Z, but I own a Z. And there's a lot. I've liked every bike that I've test ridden, really. But yeah, probably the one that stands out in my memory, just scanning through them all, S1000XR for sure. Again, from Mr. Hippodrome, if you could have a do-over, what would you have done differently? Nothing. Obviously I'd be happier if my life had turned out slightly differently, like if I was 100 million in the bank and just riding bikes every day everywhere, but like realistically that doesn't happen for many people. I think the way the cards have fallen for me, I literally can't complain. I'm content. Obviously I have Toaster and she's great. I have lots of really nice bikes. I still have all of my health, very luckily. I can work on the bikes. I've met lots of friends over here to ride bikes with. All the track buddies that I've made over here, for instance. All of my other friends like Hatter JBK, Rafe, being here now with Percy, and here he called him his normal name, really helped me. Volt, who helped me kind of bed into here, because they brought me on my first kind of bike trips over here. The crew over from Kentucky, all the guys over there, and girls, multiple. I like I said, I can't complain. It's been pretty good. There are things I would do over, but more like personal life things. I would have exercised more when I was younger. I would have tried to focus on like not getting injured as much. If I knew then what I know now around like maintaining my knees and stuff, I would have definitely done more of that. I would have tried to play sports for longer, but at the same time, I mean, if I'd stayed playing sports for longer, I probably wouldn't have this channel and stuff. So it kind of, like, that's what I was saying. It kind of all worked out, you could worry about doing things over, but at the end of the day, if you do things over, then the stuff that make you happy now might not have happened. So that's how I look at it. This question from Eat Shrimp. Give him a follow too. Eat Shrimp actually just started the YouTube channel. Good one of the Kentucky crew I was talking about. I hope they're all from Kentucky. I don't know. They're over that region anyway. And he said, "Who's your daddy?" Well, my dad, his name is Mihal, the Irish for Michael, and but my daddy, I'm just saying, AJ, you want to come over here, I don't have one right now, so Could be you if you're lucky. Grumpy Bike Wizard says, Grumpy Bike Wizard, another very good friend of mine, doesn't do YouTube videos anymore. If you go to his old YouTube videos and spam comments saying make more videos, maybe he will. So you should do that. He says, what kind of adult entertainment do women watch? I don't know, I just presume they watch the same as me, like engine teardowns by I Do Cars. You know, that's reasonable, right? Men and women are the same. What more do you want in life? And then the last question actually comes through WhatsApp, because it was too long for Instagram, I'm assuming. And this is from Two Up, Two Down Insta, another good friend of mine who was on the Scotland tour video, Aidan. And he said, what is your dollar value on hassle? I avoid hassle at all costs. And then, what moto-related business would you like to set up? I've been thinking this question too, like tours, training, more social media, products, we shop. That's a good question. I think about it all the time. I would love to work in motorcycling all of the time. And I do think that what Blockhead has done is really cool. You know, he has his shop, he has people working with him and for him. And more recently, he's forayed into actually making his own stuff. And that's something I would love to do. You know, whether it be like aftermarket wheels, exhausts, panniers. I would love to eventually have a setup that I could, you know, be able to do that. Will it ever happen? I don't know. I would love to do tours. The only thing is, I always ask myself, would I be any good at doing tours? Because the thing is, I might not seem it, but when I meet someone for the first time, I'm not good at talking. You know, and even one of my good buddies, Tom, who met me over here, he tells me he can never tell am I actually happy or not. Like, I had the best time of my life at Barber in Alabama on the SV, other than the SV having one or two hiccups, which we'll cover in another video. But I had such a good time, such a good track, great people there with me, and like, he was like, are you happy? Are you enjoying yourself? I'm not sure. I can't tell. Like, I'm just not good at displaying emotions. But yeah, I think tours, training, I would do training, but I would want to get qualified first to make sure that I'm not actually teaching people stupid stuff. You know, I would definitely do training. More social media, I think this is honestly enough. If it ever took off more, that would be cool. If I could do the same amount, but have it reach more people and make... See, the income thing is weird, because I never want to make so much from YouTube that, like, I feel obliged to push videos that just follow like a template. For instance, the reviews. Like, if I was just purely, I need to grow on YouTube, I would do whatever it took to do bike reviews. But then I think it'd lose a lot of the other stuff that I really enjoy doing. If I did them all the time, I think I'd hate them. Whereas when I do them infrequently, I really like them. So, yeah. Yeah, products we shop. If people would ever like me to do hats again, hats and t-shirts and stuff, let me know. I need to figure out how the tax stuff works over here, because that's something I really don't want to run afoul of. But yeah, I would do like merch again at some point. You know, and actually Grumpy Bike Wizard did cover something else then about starting a moto business. Like, I would actually, it's something that I've thought about, because there's a guy, I can't remember his name, who I've seen on Instagram. He does reels, and he's like a mobile mechanic. And that's something I'd like to do for bikes. You know, turn up to someone's house, do their tires for them, do their oil for them, do spark plugs for them, chain and sprockets, the kind of the simple, like, surface level stuff. Well, simple for me now, surface level stuff, you know, maybe a caliper rebuild. That's something maybe in the future that I would do as well. I think that would be cool, and I think I'd really enjoy that, because I really love working on that sort of stuff on bikes. So maybe one day I would do that. And that concludes the questions. Thank you everyone who submitted a question. This was way longer than I meant it to be. I really appreciate everyone who did ask a question, because this video wouldn't have been half of what it is without that. And you know, to kind of cover off, I know it was mostly covered, but next steps, I currently have the carbs here for the Valkyrie. I pulled them to get access to more stuff, but also when I did these, I never did the seals kind of between the carbs. I'm gonna do that like soon. Probably won't make a video on it. I'll just split them, put all the new seals in, put them back together. I do need to source 2 diaphragms for these carbs as well. I am considering trying to find like a crashed Valkyrie I can pull everything I need off, because like I said, the more of the electronic stuff I check, the more I worry that they're cooked, like the whole thing is cooked. So yeah. working on that one. We'll figure that one out. I'm not overly worried about it yet, but yeah, that's something. There is a video coming where I have another little reveal for everyone. I won't disclose that here, but that's a really cool one. And I will say thanks, Mike and Steve. I love you both for enabling that one. Two of my track friends. And yeah, other than that, like I've covered kind of the plans for the Z900RS. The CB, if you like it, just kind of start saying your goodbyes, because I want to do the rear brakes on this, and I want to do the fork rebuild so it's ready for the next person. It is going to get sold to enable us to buy a new bike for Toaster, whether that be a Rebel or whatever else. Unfortunately, the CB does have to go. I would love to keep it. If I had space and if I had enough free money, I would keep it. I really, really love that bike, and you can't keep them all. You know, it's a sad fact of reality, but you can't keep them all. And yeah, that's pretty much it. One last thing, I haven't heard from him in a while. I must shoot him another email. One of longtime viewers, Andy, was actually quite ill. Andy, if you are listening, I hope you are feeling better. And if you're not feeling better, I hope you start feeling better very, 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 very soon. I think about you pretty much every day, bud. So yeah, hopefully you're feeling much better. I must actually send another email and check up just to see. But yeah, if you hear this, hope you're doing well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. One other thing I would like to do is you know, something that other people did for me. If I can find any like smaller creators in my area who I enjoy their videos and content and stuff, I would love to bring them onto the channel, whether it be for maintenance or, you know, a dual vlog or something. I think that would be really cool to kind of, if it helps them, great, and if not, at least I get to know someone else. So, you know, that is something that I would like to do this year too. Eat shrimp. Looking at you, bud. We gotta do that little video together, you know. I'm way taller though, so I don't think you can be daddy. Sorry, you know, he's kind of. We don't need to get into it. This table is like shoulder height for him, you know. I'm sitting here. We don't need to get into it. He's really short. No, he's pretty short. He has a nice bike though. Yeah. And yeah, that's it. You know, if you have watched this far, I really appreciate it. This is probably more like a podcast than a video. But I did set up my table. Well, these are already here. I did set up my table with my helmet and hat to try and make it look more professional. And also, I've reorganized the garage. So much happier with my workspace now. Hopefully, it'll make things easier to do, because I can actually sit down and work at a table. I injured my back last year, and it is what it is now. It's one of those things you got to deal with. So that's where we're at. But yeah. If you watch this far, really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you everyone for the questions. Adios. And a really special thank you to all of my patrons, especially the ones who ask questions. Not especially the ones who ask questions. Thank you to all my patrons. You're all great. I appreciate you. And yeah, that's it. Thanks again. Adios. Outro crew, if you could pick one bike in this garage, not including the hidden bike because you don't know about that yet, what would it be? The SV, the V-Strom, the CB, the Z, or the Valkyrie? Assuming the Valkyrie works. Which one would you pick? You can pick mystery bike if you like, and then maybe you'll be really disappointed with your answer when you find out what it is. But yeah, let me know. What would you pick? I'm interested. And yeah, that's it. Thanks, outro crew. If you made it this far, you're absolute champions. Like, this is a long video. Bye, outro crew.